Enlisted is a free-to-play World War II shooter with more XP progression than you can shake a stick at. But a while back I played it for about an hour before getting bored, so when a buddy of mine had the audacity to suggest that Enlisted is better than Hell Let Loose, I was quick to correct him with a swift, no, it's definitely not. But he kept coming at me with reason after reason. Enlisted has planes, a destructible environment, a fully fleshed out progression system. The vehicle combat is far more satisfying. Bombs actually leave craters in the ground, and tanks can drive through walls. Although I stubbornly stuck to my guns on Hell Let Loose, I found myself quietly reinstalling Enlisted, and many hours later, I'm starting to think he might have had a point. Can a free-to-play title really take on our beloved Hell Let Loose? We all know the best way to settle a dispute is in the ring. So in this video, Hell Let Loose and Enlisted will be going head-to-head over 10 rounds, comparing everything from gunplay to sound design to see which is the ultimate World War II champion. After postscriptum. Kidding, not kidding. As the fighters step up and touch gloves, we waste no more time getting into round one, the visuals. Hell Let Loose can look absolutely gorgeous on a high-end system, but I don't have one of those. I have to settle for watching others on YouTube using their powerful 4K systems. On an average system, the only word I can bring myself to use to describe the visuals in Hell Let Loose is fine. Whereas Enlisted is a genuinely good-looking game, even on my potato PC, let alone a good one. I did have to play around with the graphics to find a stable setting, but you can hardly argue that Hell Let Loose has great optimization. So, although close, with a nice uppercut to the chin, the first round for visuals goes to Enlisted. After a brief 60-second break to recover from round one, both contenders are back on their feet to duke it out in round two, gunplay. To get straight to the point, the gunplay in Enlisted feels very loose. I gave it a chance to improve over time in case I adapted, but I just couldn't. It felt like a serious lack of control, which to an extent feels okay if you roleplay yourself as a fumbling soldier thrown into the madness of Normandy, which I would have been, but otherwise it's more frustrating than anything. Hell Let Loose, on the other hand, strikes a great balance between the milsim feel, but still a bit arcadey, making it easily accessible to a wide variety of first-person shooter fans. Whether it's an SMG or a rifle, it just feels satisfying when you take down an enemy soldier. So with a strong left hook to the jaw, Hell Let Loose fails to land the early knockout, but ends round two strongly with a resounding win. However, a notable mention to Enlisted because you can rest any gun on basically any surface to steady your aim, which I really wish you could do in Hell Let Loose. Now we're really getting into the swing of things. We have our first really contentious round, vehicles. There's nothing quite like playing a three-man tank in Hell Let Loose. I've mainly played as a gunner, because driving is a mystical art I've never been able to fathom, but the teamwork, the coordination with your tank mates and your surrounding infantry is a gaming experience that is very hard to beat. But then the janky bugs creep in and you remember that time your tank got stuck on the smallest log because nothing about Hell Let Loose's environment is destructible. By comparison, Enlisted doesn't have the camaraderie in tank combat. But you kind of forget that when you're driving through a wall because bushes actually move out of the way in this game. Plus, you can't forget that you can fly planes in Enlisted, and it's basically got War Thunder inserted into it too. So ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, this one's a draw. With very different styles, Hell Let Loose excels in certain aspects, but it's a bit crap in others. Whereas Enlisted is very run-of-the-mill, yet consistent, while also offering that additional flying experience I know many will appreciate. So far it's one apiece, but will one edge ahead in round 4? Team communications. This one is quite straightforward. Hell Let Loose is at its best when played with a squad that not only works together, but constantly communicates. Similar to the tanking experience, when it works, it really works. It's just a shame less and less people seem to talk these days. But the thing is, although voice comms are technically possible in Enlisted, players basically don't use them. Some of you may be looking for that solitary experience, but as the team communications in Hell Let Loose opens up another level of tactics and teamwork, round 4 is a resounding victory for Hell Let Loose, taking an early lead with 2 rounds to Enlisted's 1. Although unsteady on his feet, Enlisted does look fit to continue, so let's push through to round 5, progression. Hell Let Loose does have some, but it doesn't really do very much. It's certainly not a motivator to play the game. You just notice you've finally unlocked that FG42 after having given up trying 6 months ago. It's fun to allocate your special command at the end of a match, but progression in Hell Let Loose feels rather forgotten. Not that it ruins the game or anything, but perhaps a missed opportunity that could be fleshed out in the future. Enlisted's progression system by comparison is more like a ripped bodybuilder bursting with steroids, making Hell Let Loose look more like a shriveled avocado. It's incredibly intimidating at first, which is one of the main reasons I gave up initially. The progression system in Enlisted is so huge and complex, but if you give it a chance and take some time to find your way around, I started to love it. Ranking up squads, individual soldiers, adjusting their equipment, looking at today's missions and XP bonuses, and adjusting my playstyle accordingly. It's really awesome once you get the hang of it. The only thing is, it does feel like a never-ending grind. And of course, if you pay, you can skip ahead, which not everybody will like. However, it's far more engaging than whatever it is Hell Let Loose is trying to offer, so round 5 is a resounding victory for Enlisted, even if the grind makes it a bit tedious. As we reach the halfway mark, the momentum feels like it's with Enlisted, but Hell Let Loose is nowhere near finished as we move into round 6, sound design. To be honest, neither game is particularly strong in this round, as both fighters begin to tire. Hell Let Loose, in typical Hell Let Loose fashion, is very strong when it comes to immersion. Artillery shells exploding in the distance, the general battlefield vibe is spot on, whereas firing a rifle is rather underwhelming. But then we have Enlisted, which is kind of average across the board with sound design. Individual weapons sound decent, as is the overall immersion from ambient noises. This is genuinely a tough one, in which case it's got to be a draw. And let's be honest, an honourable mention to Postscriptum, which takes the moral victory here. Although it's a draw so far, it has to be said that Hell Let Loose has absolutely smashed the 2 rounds it has won, and only narrowly lost or drawn the others. But Enlisted isn't about to give up yet, because now we're diving into round 7 with epic battles. Hell Let Loose can be big, it can be epic, but 99% of the time the maps are so big and players are so dispersed as they attempt to flank in both directions, whereas Enlisted has less players, but the maps are more condensed. And it has the big old elephant in the room, bots. I know many of you will hate bots, but playing the D-Day map on Enlisted with all of these bots and real players running around as you storm up the beach and into the bunkers with explosions ripping chunks out of the map, once you look past the free-to-play thing and the bots acting a bit like bots, I certainly thought on many occasions, this is freaking awesome. It's less realistic, the bots can be as dumb as hell, but Enlisted scratches that itch I've had since Medal of Honor Allied Assault, so Enlisted takes the lead once again, due to condensed maps plus sheer weight of numbers and the subsequent epicness that ensues. So that's Enlisted ahead for the first time in this fight. Will it keep up the momentum and leave Hell Let Loose a hill to climb as the 10th round gets closer? It's quite possible, because round 7 is about the game's environment, specifically the destruction side of things. Uh-oh, Hell Let Loose. So in Enlisted, you really can blow shit up. You can be taking cover behind a wall, all safe and shielded from enemy bullets, and then a panzer comes along and blows it up, and your very useful wall is no longer in existence. You can witness a plane performing a strafing run before realizing they left a bomb at your feet, which blows you to hell and leaves a huge crater in the ground that can now be used for cover. By comparison, in Hell Let Loose, you can destroy a total of bugger all. A heavy tank can't make a leaf quiver as its path is blocked by a row of immortal and indestructible bushes. A spectacularly destructive bombing run leaves the grass as green as it ever was, and the mud thoroughly uncratered. Environmental destruction isn't the be-all and end-all for a first-person shooter, but it does matter. So this one is a resounding win for Enlisted, even if it's just partial destruction, leaving it ahead by 4 rounds compared to Hell Let Loose's 2 rounds. Our beloved Hell Let Loose might be in trouble here, so let's not waste any more time getting into round 9, map design. This is an incredibly tricky round to call as it highlights both fighters' very different styles. Hell Let Loose is far grander in scale. The fields are huge. It's often referred to as a running simulator for a reason. But once you reach the intricate trench networks and the bunkers, the level of detail really pops out at you. The street fighting in the ruined St. Mary-Église and its little cafes, and the forest battles of Hurtgen are absolutely brutal. The scale of Hill 15, and it's only a small part of the map. Hell Let Loose is throwing some seriously hard punches here, but Enlisted has plenty to offer here too. Smaller in scale, more compact. The beach invasion map doesn't look particularly realistic, but it's a heck of a lot of fun to play. And the map that has the mansion you can fill with barbed wire and gun emplacements, what's it bloody called? Manor. Just googled it. These maps remind me of the old days, Return to Castle Wolfenstein's multiplayer, Battlefield even. They're designed to be a gaming map. They're designed to be fun. But the uncompromising realism in Hell Let Loose, the level of detail they go to for these maps, and the way they aim for each map to be a different experience. And Remagen certainly is a different kind of experience. Now, to be fair, I've taken your suggestions from previous comments and given Remagen another chance. It's particularly fun at night, but I digress. Enlisted has put up a good fight in this round, but map design has to go to Hell Let Loose as the level of research and detail by the devs is nothing short of impressive. We finally made it to round 10 and I'm losing track here, where are we? Hell Let Loose has to win round 10 to draw. Any other result gives Enlisted the title of the Ultimate World War II champion. We've already looked at large-scale battles, but in round 10 we're looking at the small squad versus squad battles. Enlisted has a good chance here. You are, after all, the commander of your own botty squad. The bots do have a bad reputation, but once you get used to issuing commands to your bot-faced friends, the gameplay does open up into a more positive experience than frustrating. But who are we kidding? Hell Let Loose comes in with a massive uppercut.
Can you take that satchel off us?
Because the squad gameplay is absolutely unbeatable. Well, postscriptum, but this isn't a postscriptum video, so anyway. Playing Hell Let Loose in a squad that communicates and works together is easily one of the best experiences in gaming.
Twiglet, I love you.
Even if you end up caught in an intense firefight and get slaughtered by an MG42 or frag grenades, chances are that was one hell of an experience with your buddies or a group of strangers. The game perfectly embodies Richard Winter's assault on the guns at Brecourt Manor and the desperate battle at the end of Saving Private Ryan. Intense firefights, squad on squad, is where Hell Let Loose excels, even if I do seem to have a huge arrow above my head saying, artillery shoot here. It's a no-brainer. Hell Let Loose wins this round by a country mile. And correct me if I'm wrong, that means Hell Let Loose has pulled it back to a draw. Now we could leave it there, but nobody likes a draw. So let's invent an 11th round to decide once and for all, Enlisted or Hell Let Loose. For round 11, the big tiebreaker, we're going to let both games duke it out over their various classes within the game. Enlisted starts off strongly here, as there are a wide variety of different classes to play. The fan-favourite radio operator can call in artillery strikes, for example, but you also have engineers to build defences and spawn points. Snipers, rather unsurprisingly, snipe, or you can pick up a light mortar. But then again, Hell Let Loose has plenty of classes itself, from machine gunners and medics to the supply class. If you had to choose between the two so far, I would argue Enlisted edges ahead on this one, partly because there's a fighter pilot class, which Hell Let Loose simply doesn't have, but there's something niggling at me that took me a while to figure out. Hell Let Loose has squad leaders for infantry, tanks and recon, plus a commander. These are all unique roles in their own right, and damn stressful ones at that. The level of responsibility in any of those roles is next level. I'll happily admit I've never been brave enough to be a commander on a public server, because honestly, the mere thought of it is terrifying, and frankly, I'm convinced I would wet myself with stress. Anyway, the elements that squad leaders and the commander bring to Hell Let Loose simply aren't there in Enlisted, and elevate Hell Let Loose to a next level when it comes to classes and their impact on the game. So I'm very happy to say that after a very hard-fought battle, Hell Let Loose comes out on top as the ultimate World War II champion. Alright, we've had a bit of boxing-themed fun, and ultimately all of this is subjective, but there's an important point behind all of this. It's easy to prejudge free-to-play games as not being worth your time. It's especially easy to write off Enlisted when you realise bots are a major feature of the game. But here's the thing. The more I played Enlisted, the more I realised how, at its core, it's surprisingly similar to Hell Let Loose in many respects, with a few notable differences of course. Overall, it looks and sounds great. It's definitely more arcadey, but delivers epic battles, and their environmental destruction is genuinely refreshing, along with being able to use World War II planes, and there's tons of progression, if perhaps a bit too much. I see many players writing this game off, and don't get me wrong, it's far from perfect, but sometimes we need to leave our preconceived ideas at the door so we can see the positives of a game more clearly. Initially, I was a snob about Enlisted being a free-to-play title. Free-to-play can mean a game is full of crap as it desperately searches for ways to make money, but the fact that Enlisted even gave Hell Let Loose a run for its money today, and it genuinely does, means it's so much more than a free-to-play game with dumb bots. If you enjoyed the video, why not give it a cheeky thumbs up? Maybe even subscribe if you're feeling adventurous. If you agreed or disagree with anything I said, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one.